Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for hanging with us. Today is Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesdays. It's April 26, 2022. For those on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, if you'd like to put your contact information in there so you can connect with other people who are on the call, you're welcome to do so. For those watching on Facebook, if you have any questions on the presentation, please just put your questions in the comment field. I am monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered asked to our speaker. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the chat window, Zoom chat window, will not appear in the recording. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We've got a great program coming up this Friday, and I'll tell you about it at the end of the session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Also, if you want more information about your interviewing skills, you can go to dallaspitcrew.com. Just remember, your resume and your LinkedIn profile isn't going to get you a job, but it will get you a phone call if you've got it set up right. What do you do? You know, how your interviewing skills are what's going to get you your next job. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis to talk about LinkedIn. Today, our speaker is Kurt VandeMotter. He's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. So Kurt, thank you very much for being with us. Let me make you a co-host and it's all yours.
Got it. Can everybody hear me? Everybody good?
We can.
Good. We've had technical difficulties in the past, so I'm glad it's working today. Well, Jeff, thank you for the opportunity, and gosh, what a contributor. You know, we've got so many great people in this Dallas community, but I don't think daily I don't refer somebody to Jeff to come join these meetings and take advantage of the learning that can be taken advantage of here. And Jeff, thanks for all you do and giving it back to the community. We're in a really weird time right now. I mean, as a recruiter, I don't get invited to cocktail parties because they want to hear what I have to say about recruiting, but they're certainly at an event or at a dinner. The conversation quickly turns in my direction and people are asking what's going on in the world of recruiting and hiring these days. And I don't think that there's any one of us that haven't witnessed just, you know, a lot of weird activity. I tell an executive story recently. I'm working for a consumer packaged goods company and looking for an executive in the Florida region for a regional vice president with manufacturing background and, you know, P&L and all that. And we've been working on it for a while. We got ready to make an offer about 3 weeks ago to a candidate. And you often hear about recruiters ghosting candidates. And if that's happened to me, if I've done that to you in the past, I apologize. I try not to, but you know, like everybody else, we're busy. But in this case, the candidate had started to ghost me. And after 3 days, I finally got a hold of him and the company was ready to make him an offer. And so I was just calling to do the last, you know, how's it going? They're ready to start putting an offer together. Are we all on the same page? And he said, well, my wife and I've had a change of mind. And just to give you an idea, this is a total compensation of about $350,000 with a company car in addition. And he said, my wife and I have made a decision and we're going to go to Wyoming for the next 6 months and work on a dude ranch. And I said, wow, okay. You know, what do you say to somebody like that? You know, do you applaud them? Or do you try to coach them out of that decision? You know, there's a lot I don't know. There could have been something else going on and they just made that up as a sidebar. But so the point is there's just a lot of activity going on. We're in what we call this great resignation. I think it's going to continue for a while. And what that means is that somewhere in the category of 70%, 65, 70% of the people that are actively working today are actively looking for a new job. And that's the number you heard. It's 60 or more percent of the people that are actively working are looking for a new job. So when you combine that talent pool with the talent pool of people that are actively looking, those are candidates that have lost their job and they're actively looking for a new job. As a recruiter, I've got a pretty large candidacy pool to choose from. And I guess that's my point that I want to make more so than anything else today is that, you know, when I speak often to college kids and I make a presentation and I try to reinforce that coming out of university, and I don't care if you went to University of Michigan with, you know, potentially 30,000 graduates in your class to, you know, a small college in the middle of New York where there might have been 250 kids in your class. The competition is just not the students in that classroom or the students at that university or the students from that community or that students from that state, but the competition is the world. And so we always have to figure out ways to differentiate ourselves. Today's call is really going to be focused on recruiter and LinkedIn recruiter. And so let me give you a little history about it. And let me give you a brief introduction in addition to me being a retained search executive. So I've been in the business for about 15 years. I started the business after working in corporate America. And I'm recognized by Forbes as one of the top retained search firms in the United States. The new, I just was reached out to last week. The new 2021 survey is complete and will be announced in early May. And I'm somewhere in the top 25. I don't know if I'm going to be in the top 10 like I've been in the past, but at least in the top 25. And the only reason I share that is that it does demonstrate some credibility in the things I got to say, and that I don't just make this stuff up. So I'm a retained search executive. Let's talk about what recruiters do and the different kinds of recruiters, because I think that's really helpful. For those of you that may, you know, some of you may have got questions about this or you didn't recognize the differences. And let's stop there for a minute. If you've got a question, shoot it to Jeff, put it up there right away because I'm here for you, not me. So any question you got, I don't care if it's off the subject at this point, you've spent a valuable amount of time today to be on this call with us. And I want to make sure your questions get answered. So just start throwing them at Jeff. He'll gather them. And as we go on, he'll interrupt me and we'll get all your questions answered. So recruiters, three kinds of recruiters. There are internal recruiters. These are the recruiters that work for companies. You take like an AT&T. AT&T might have 250 recruiters. They're recruiting for different parts of their technology in different territories. Some are working on the C-suite, some are working on retail stores. Then you've got contingent recruiters. And contingent recruiters don't work for companies. They're an outside search firm. And the way that they work is they don't take any fee up front, and they take a percentage of the salary that's previously negotiated. The difference is that a company that might be looking for a sales executive, they could go to 2 or 3 contingent firms to ask them to fill that job. And so nobody gets paid in the contingent world until that job is filled. Okay. And then the recruiter that brings the candidate gets the prize or gets to write an invoice. Then there's retained search executives. And that's what I do. I get paid a retainer up front. So companies hire me, they pay me a retainer. I'm exclusive. And I work with that organization until I fill that job. If that takes a month or it takes 6 months, I'm with them along the way. And then I work on a percentage basis as well. And I deduct that retainer from that total invoice. So that's the way the recruiting world works. Retained search executives like myself, we're exclusive. We take a retainer, so there's buy-in. The company they want to work with us. They're paying us money up front. Contingent, no fee up front, only paid based on finding the right candidate, and then internal recruiters. As you have conversations, it's really helpful to know which recruiter you're talking to. So that's why I share that information. When you pick up the phone and it says, hello, this is Doug Smith and I'm a recruiter at bop, 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 I want you to be able to take a deep breath and start to ask really good questions. And one of the questions you might ask is, well, where'd you get my name? How'd you get my name? You might have offered that in the introduction, but you might offer or ask a question, what kind of recruiter are you? Tell me a little bit about you and your practice so that you can get to know that individual for a second. It also buys you a little bit of time to just kind of get your act in order because you've just picked up a cold call. So that's why it's important. The way you communicate with the recruiters is different. Internal recruiters, they're there for one purpose only, and they're there to fill those jobs. They generally have, depending on the role, there can be some pressure from the executive team to get that role filled, especially if it's got revenue attached to it. But understand that internal recruiters, I think the key that you need to know about internal recruiters is that an internal recruiter at T-Mobile or AT&T or in a large organization can be working on anywhere from 20 to 50 jobs. And I've heard as many as 80, okay? That is a load. That is a big load. So when you're working with internal recruiters, I want you to just be sympathetic to the fact that they've got a lot on their plate. They're juggling a lot of different balls. They're working for a lot of different executives in an organization. And you're just one pebble on the road to where they're trying to take that position or trying to make that hire. So you've got to be direct, sincere, but understand where they're coming from and what their workload is. Contingent recruiters, I think the message you want to convey there is that, they're in a race, because remember, they're not getting paid anything unless they get the candidate they provide the candidate that gets the job. So there's a race going on, and they're not going to spend as much time to get to know you likely. And they're going to get your resume in there. It used to be, I don't know that I hear about as much anymore, but I used to hear times when recruiters were using candidates to get business. So they might send your resume to 20 different companies and say, if you want to get to know people like Jack, you need to call me because these are the kind of people that I represent and work with. They'll take your name and your email address and your phone number off of it. But if they like your resume, they might use your resume to communicate with companies. That's something you won't get with a retained search executive, because we work not only exclusively, but we work in a much more a higher confidentiality in some cases. Anyway, that's the difference. So we want to talk about recruiter, and I'm going to go to share screen, I guess, Jeff, right? I can do this. Let's see if this pulls up. Okay, so everybody can see my screen now?
Just popped up, yep.
Okay, so I normally don't start here, Jeff, but this is a page that everybody else has got access to. This is what you normally see if you're using LinkedIn. This is my home personal page. And you can see, a little bit about me on the blurb on the left. If you haven't looked at my profile in the past, you can find my email address and my phone number in there and communicate with me that way if you wish. We'll talk about a little bit about that later on. This is what I see though, as I come into LinkedIn, and the history about LinkedIn Recruiter is LinkedIn worked with a company called Korn Ferry. Korn Ferry is always number 1 or 2, number 3 in Forbes. They're a worldwide organization. They've got thousands of employees, offices all over the world. And they went to LinkedIn a long time ago and asked for help because the old way of collecting resumes just wasn't working. And I can be a witness to that, because even when LinkedIn was going, for a while, I maintained a database where if you sent me your resume for a job, or if you sent me a resume for any reason, I always saved it into a database. And by the time I got done with it, I shut it down about 6 years ago, I guess. I probably had about 9,000, 10,000 names and resumes in there, but it was almost impossible to search. And the more importantly is that the data in there was updated the minute that I got the resume. LinkedIn is a tool that everybody keeps updated for the most part, and they use it as their resume for many cases. This is a business platform. It's not Match.com. So it was developed by Korn Ferry, with Korn Ferry, and so that was the product that came out of it, called LinkedIn Recruiter. LinkedIn Recruiter is built on a separate set of APIs. So when you look at LinkedIn, you've got the foundation of LinkedIn, and then on top of it, you've got Recruiter. And when I'm going to go into Recruiter here in a minute, you see it up on the right-hand screen here. There's a bullet. Jeff might point an arrow to it. But Recruiter, I'll click on that in a minute, and it'll take me to a completely different platform. But when I go into Recruiter, you as a candidate cannot see me, okay? I'm invisible to the world. So, and the reason that they do that is because I look at, I'm working on 5 or 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 searches right now. And so if I tried to, if I every day I use LinkedIn extensively, if every candidate that I looked at had visibility that I was looking at them, I'd never get anything done. So the day that LinkedIn gives you access as a candidate to see or have visibility that I've looked at your profile is probably not going to happen. Now, when you do see messages or you click on who's looked at my profile, there are other recruiters that don't use LinkedIn Recruiter that might be looking at your profile, and certainly worthy a call or an email or an outreach to say, hey, is there something that I can provide you? And other people, it's always beneficial to keep up on that as well. So I suggest you look at it, but when it says Recruiter and there's no name or anything, that's still not me. Again, we don't show up anywhere. We are invisible to the LinkedIn community. With LinkedIn Recruiter, I have access to just about 100% of the network. And so that's one of the advantages, and you'll see real quickly how and why that makes sense. Let's take a pause. Jeff, any questions so far?
Let's see here. Make sure my mic's on. Yeah, my mic's on. Okay. Yeah, there were 2 questions. Michelle asked, what can you tell us about the influence of artificial intelligence on the recruiting role?
Yeah. It's coming so fast. It's a train. It's a scary train. I don't use a lot. I don't use any of it. But I'm a single shingle. So there's going to be a day that I may not be able to recruit anymore because there's so many people out there doing, gathering the data and using artificial intelligence to do so. So it's crazy. Let me tell you a story. Last week, I had met with my daughter, who's a technology, sales, social media kind of person, just moved to Austin. I went down, had dinner with her. In that dinner, we came up with about 5 things that I needed to do with my business, to make me, more findable and so forth. Sent her a letter about 5 days afterwards, just recapping that dinner and the things that we wanted to work on. And one of them was to work with Google to get my, search engine optimization increased. I sent an email. Within 6 minutes, 5 minutes, my phone rang, and it was a rep from Google saying, "Hi, my name's such and such from Google, and I'm here to try to help you with some of your business and trying to get your brand more recognized." So, Michelle, it's scary. I don't know. I don't know how to help you protect yourself. But I would tell you that just know that it's out there and it's coming really fast.
All right, Kurt, we had a second question. let's see. If are your candidates subject to ATSs at the employer and mid-level or executive? I guess
No.
for
Yeah, so
mid-level and executive positions, if you're dealing with your candidates, do they have to go fill out the ATS?
well, so 99% of the companies that I work with don't even have applicant tracking systems. That's what an ATS is, for those of you that didn't know. It's an applicant tracking system, and many large organizations and many smaller organizations as well have a tool or a technology where they track every applicant that comes in the door. And they do that because they have to report to the government for different things. Now, other smaller companies probably have to do some of the same reporting, and I don't know how they do it on an ad hoc basis. But as a recruiter, I am never asked to or required to submit candidates through a company's applicant tracking system.
And that's because you already have that one-on-one relationship with the hiring manager anyway.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Okay. Very good. And I'll just say that, from the companies, I've always worked for small companies, 100 employees or less. We never had an ATS system. So it was strictly as resumes come in, whatever happened. I mean, it was just one-on-one stuff coming to me, and then we go and take care of things.
Yep.
All right. That's it for questions right now.
Okay, good. So now, Jeff, what we're going to look at is we're just going to look at the advanced search capabilities that I have as a recruiter. Okay. And I just scrolled down a little bit to give everybody a view of that. But the bottom line is what you can see here pretty quickly is that there's a lot of material as it relates to what I can, as a recruiter, search for. I can start at the top. I think this is one of the most important places, and it always begs a lot of questions. It's the spotlight section. So you can see up at the corner that I've got a total network of about 830 million people. And I can see that when I click on the spotlight section, you can see that there are 88,000 of those people are open to work. Really important number. 88,000 equally or more are more likely to reply. LinkedIn keeps score. They keep track of you as a candidate. And so if you are not replying to messages that people send you, you get put into a box that says that you're not likely to reply. So there's not a box that says less likely to reply, but you want to be in this box that says they are more likely to reply. Even if it's just a yes or no, I'm not interested, thank you, I'd love to learn more. You don't have to write a long story about what the message is, but I encourage you to at least reply to every message going forward. It will help you long-term if you're not already. Engage with the brand. That's my brand. Have company connections. Either we've worked at the same company, or I've recruited for their company, or some kind of connection that we've got based on our past history. And then 717 people are past applicants. Okay. So out of that 830,000 people, 717 are past applicants. So when I go to do a search, I have, again, so many things that I can choose from and select from, but let's just do, last time we went to like Kauai or Alaska. Let's do something a little more metropolitan. And let's go to, oh, shucks. Well, let's just for fun, let's just do a current search I'm working on right now. Let's go to Kansas City. Might as well use the time, right? So,
No, you're putting Uganda.
yeah, exactly. I want just Kansas City metropolitan area. And I want somebody that is current, okay? So I have the ability, I mentioned that I worked on a consumer packaged goods job down in Florida. I've got the ability to go in and select Tampa area, St. Petersburg area, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Daytona, Lakeland, Pensacola, Miami, Sarasota. I can pick the cities that I want to, but this particular search, it's not out. Then we're not going to relocate anybody, and they've got to live there today, because I'm not going to relocate somebody. Where'd it go? Shucks. Hold on. Here I am over here, I think. There we go. So we're only going to look in Kansas City. The workplace type, it's on site. So I guess this is new. We've normally not had this. It's pretty new. But this requires somebody to be on site. So let's just get rid of the people that don't want to come to work. Wow, what do I keep doing? I'm so sorry.
Well,
Okay.
we can still see it. It's not disappearing on our screen, so it must be yours.
Got it. Cool. Skills and assessment. If what I'm looking for is an HR manager. And so I could put some skills in there. I could put company.
You didn't list a job title, so you haven't picked any.
Not yet.
Okay.
You're right. Let's go back up. So I'm going to put in HR manager, human resource manager. Now, there's a whole other group of people that I could put in there, but I don't want to start too big. I don't want my funnel to be so big that I can't manage it. So I might go to manager. I might go to a director. You can see how the number just went up to 1,000 people. I can't look at 1,000 people. So I'm going to take director out, because most likely the person that gets this role is going to be a manager, and we're going to give them a bigger title because we're not going to pay them $200,000. Okay. So human resource manager, we'll keep that. Kansas City, on site we want. I could put in skills and assessments if I wanted to. I could look up different companies. Hallmark is there, Sephora is there, UPS is there, Enterprise Car is there, Sprint used to be there. If that was something that I wanted to. But again, for right now, I'm going to cast the umbrella pretty big. I could put in schools if I wanted to make sure that they had gone to a particular college. I can put in the year of graduation. Okay. So if I'm looking for somebody that has only got 10 years of experience, then I can shrink that down to, somebody that graduated in 2013 to, they've got to have 10 years of experience, and they got to take this back this way a little ways, but probably down into that area. If I wanted that, I can manipulate that all day long. Okay. For this case, I'm not doing that. I want to start with a pretty big candidacy pool, and I'll narrow it down after that. Industries. Now, this is important because in this particular case, I'm looking for somebody that comes out of the services industry. Okay. So as I look at the option, I'm not gonna wean out any of these people, because I don't know enough about what they've done in some of the companies they've worked for. So again, as a recruiter, I'm going to leave that out. I might come back and hone it in later. Here's keywords. If I want somebody that has experience with a particular software, I might put that in as a keyword. If I wanted this person to have experience negotiating contracts, I could put in that in a Boolean. So there's different ways and times that I would use keywords. I work for a company down in the Tampa area, and they manufacture torch tips. And I was looking for CNC people that understood CNC machine setup, management, lathes, welding. All those are really great keywords. So when at one point we were looking just in the Florida region, and we couldn't find the quality of people that we're looking for. So then we started to open it up to the Midwest. So that's where you might use for a particular search, giving you an example, keywords that would be effective. Employment type, if you want to a contract person or something, you can use that there. First names, if I'm early in the search, so why would I use first or last names? If I wanted to, out of that 813 people that are up there, I think the number was at the top there, 819 people. None of them are first connections, 52 are second. It doesn't matter to me because I can see all three of them. You could see down there, I told you where I have visibility to just about 100% of the network. Group members, 82, second connections, 52, but third plus everyone else, 703. That 703 is a part of that 819 that I had, well, just switch because I dropped something off, but that just, that's right on, okay? What did I change? Oh, no, I don't want that. Change the title, clear. And then I think I put manager.
You also put manager, but by putting manager, doesn't that count for anybody who has manager in their title, or will that stick with just human resources?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Let's run it and see. So the thing I ask you to do, you're going to, the confidential piece of this, you're going to see people's names and so forth. And I just keep it between us. This is a live demo. This is live data. This is what I get. I get 819 results, and I have the ability to start to scroll through these people to see what kind of experience they've got. So I am working for a law firm. Okay. So I really need somebody that's got services experience. They've worked in a services industry because they don't really have a product. Their product is the lawyers. Okay. And so I then now out of this 819 can start to be pretty selective as I go through and look at April. Paper and resources, probably not a good match. Shantae, human resources. She was with Quick Trip. She was with Applebee's, worked in the services business, but not with lawyers that are making $1 million. Okay. Probably not the right fit. Jonathan, he comes out of the automotive industry, and I don't really see where he was in, he's at Old Navy now, 4 years of manager experience. So there you go. We can look at John and we'll see exactly where to answer that question. So anywhere in his title, he was a general sales manager, general manager, district manager, but there's no HR in his background. Okay. So I can close that up. Based on that learning, I'm going to go back up and let's just take manager out of here. And I'm just going to clear it and bring back. Sorry, guys. Let's do that. Human resource business partner. Let's general manager, human resources. Human resource generalist. Okay, the numbers all changed around on us here, but we're still just looking at candidates to try to filter out some of the differences between good candidates and bad candidates. And not necessarily for this role, because I don't want to get into that, but what I do want to share with you is the differences between some of these candidates. So now we're down to 330, and we're probably going to see the higher level or the people that have the actual human resource experience. Again, we'll start at the top. Piper came out of manufacturing, and I can see that she doesn't have any other experience. She is open to work. Okay. You can see here where she has selected that she is open to work. And if I want to look at Piper, I can go deeper, pull up her profile. I can then see what she's done here, the experience. She shows me an outline. Piper hasn't given us a lot of detail on what she's done. She's really just told us that she was at Novatech. She was at Ultimaster, North Star Battery. She's had a few jobs, but again, I don't know enough about what she was doing to be critical of that. She's not used any of this space to her advantage. The summary section, Jeff always reminds me, I think is it 1,500 characters or 1,500 words?
2,200, you have 2,200 characters now.
Right. So, this is a great place for you to talk about what you do, who you are, to use keywords. We haven't gotten to keywords yet, but one of the things I highly recommend to candidates is that they offer up their email address and their phone number. If you're actively looking for a new job, put your email and your contact information in the summary section. As we scroll through some more of these candidates, you'll see that very few people do it. And it's a game changer for a recruiter, because what I'm going to show you next is if I decide I want to engage in a conversation with Piper, I don't have any information of how to reach her, okay? I could, and I do this when I get to candidates that I really want to talk to. I can see that she works at Novatech. So I'll go plug in Novatech into Google, get the phone number, call in, and ask to talk to Piper, okay? 98% of the time I get right through to the person. If I don't get them live, I leave them a message. Hey, Piper, this is Kurt VandeMotter. I'm an executive search consultant. I found you on LinkedIn and you were referred to me. I'd love to chat with you for 6 minutes. Take my phone number, call me on your way home from work. Boom, okay? The only other option I've got is to go in and send her an email. And I've got the ability, I can build templates for my jobs. It goes directly to Piper, and then I can put in a subject matter and I can compose a note. I can add in a copy of the job brief if I want to, okay? So this is the only mechanism that I have to communicate with candidates, unless they've given me their email and their phone number, okay? So the biggest takeaway from this call today is that I encourage you all to go back to your LinkedIn profile if you're actively looking for a new job, and make sure that your contact information is in the summary section, email address and phone number. After you get your next gig, you can take that out if you want to. If you're worried about it being creepy, remember that you don't have to answer the phone. You can let it go to voicemail. And if you get an email that's inappropriate, you can delete it. But I highly recommend you make it easy for recruiters to reach you, because it is a game changer. And those are the people that we call first, okay? Hope I reinforced that enough. So the other thing that I can do is this acts as, people asked about an applicant tracking system. This is my mini applicant tracking system, because I can then save a candidate to a project. I can put them in a file so that I can keep track of them for the future. I can run reports on those candidates if I need to report back to a client. So there's certain things that I can do with LinkedIn, but it's very limited. I don't want to think for a second that it's the full-blown applicant tracking system, because it really doesn't do any of the screening that a normal applicant tracking system would do, okay?
Kurt, can you, one of the questions popped up, what determines the ranking? Why did Piper show up #1 and Janine #2?
You gave the best answer the last time.
What did I say? Nobody knows. They want, if we tell you, we'd have to kill you.
Yeah, no, there really is no method to the madness. I think that it, as you look at, let's do this. As you look at somebody's profile, Pepper has got a lot of the keywords in her resume that I'm looking for, okay, highlighted, okay? Let's go to the bottom of this file, and let's go out here to 10 and look at some of the people that are at 250.
Yeah, Piper happened to have human resource generalist 4 different times.
Yeah,
so that's what really made the job title, made it really pop up there.
That's right. Here's Kimberly, and she's a payroll and benefits manager, but she doesn't have she doesn't have the title that we were in search with, but there she has generalist at the bottom, but just one. So that's what's leading it, is the keywords and the words that you put into your search.
And if Kurt was to put any keywords into the program, it would highlight those also, so they stand out so he could see them.
Yep. Yep. So, this is it. You can see just generally the difference between profiles. I'm going to go back up to the front because those are going to be the ones that are closer of a match. So let's go back to 5. I was hoping to find somebody that just had a really dynamic.
Well, one of the things you didn't click that you normally do is on the most likely to engage or open to work. You didn't click on those this time. So
yeah, I did.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah, at the very beginning. Yeah, at the very beginning, I did. So the other thing that I do look at occasionally is I obviously look at this open to work because they're going to be more communicative typically, but I look at connections too. And especially when I have to send an in-mail, if I'm dead into the middle of a search and I'm just not getting the turns and I'm not getting the callbacks and I'm not getting the candidates that I want to talk to, I'll reach out to, these are first connections of mine. I can go to Alex and I've got Alex's email address and phone number. It's all loaded in here. So I can send a note quickly to Alex to say, hey, Alex, I'm trying to get a hold of Betsy. Can you help me make that contact? This is the job that I'm trying to fill, and I give them a copy of the job brief. If you wouldn't mind passing it on to her and asking her to reach out to me, I'd love that connection. So that's another tool that we use as recruiters to try to get to people. But the best thing is when they give me a summary section that provides me with more than just 10 words, 20 words. Keywords. If you're not using keywords in LinkedIn, you're making a big mistake. What are keywords and what do they mean? Keywords are the words that describe the things that you've done. If you've managed a P&L, you better make sure that you got P&L 3 or 4 times in your resume, okay? Because if you're an executive, managing a P&L is a big deal, okay? And there's probably not many leadership management jobs out there where you don't have to manage a P&L. And if you don't, the company still would love to have you have that experience because you think financially, you're financially in sync. But keywords, make a list, 50, 100 keywords, and then make sure those are all smothered throughout your LinkedIn profile. I didn't use a lot of keywords because I was, the searches that I conducted didn't pull up 5,000 candidates, so I didn't need to drill down that quickly. I can look at 300 profiles in an hour. I can't look at 5,000. So when I do those searches and I find that I've got contacts with 3,000 or 4,000 people, that's when I start putting in those keywords. But if I'm looking for 5 keywords and they must have that experience, I use keywords singly to go through and look for and use those words in a keyword search. So I'll go to Kansas City, and this isn't one of the searches there, but I'd go to Kansas City family office and use that as a keyword all day long to see how many people populate that, because the candidate's got to have family office experience. Just an example. Keywords are critical. Use that summary section, fill it up with those keywords. If you look at yourself at the end of the day and you've got that key list list going and there's only 25 words on it, and you're struggling to find other keywords, start looking at job descriptions for the jobs that you're trying to get. What are the keywords? Take a highlighter. Take 2 highlighters. Take a highlighter and highlight in pink the words and the keywords that you've got and that you can protest on your LinkedIn profile. In yellow, highlight the words that you don't do that you need to focus on, okay? Because by the time you update your LinkedIn profile in 3 weeks, have you been able to gain proficiency into that keyword? It might have been just some research that you needed to conduct. It might meant that you just needed to take a tutorial for an hour, but look at job descriptions and use those as a guiding map to what jobs you want to get, making sure that you've got fulfilled the key words within that job description. Critical. Any other questions, Jeff?
Yeah, we've got a few of them have come in.
Good.
One, how important are the skill badges? Your LinkedIn has those badges for Microsoft Excel in a future job. He said, I'm in a sales development business, was considered taking the quizzes for Word and Excel, PowerPoint, but from a recruiter's perspective, is this really going to help improve my candidacy?
Probably not. It probably won't help, but certainly in the roles that you described that this person's trying to get, I would make sure if I did anything for the next couple of days, I'd make sure I have about 4 or 5 great work product examples. PowerPoint, a writing sample, maybe an Excel spreadsheet that you had to put together, or a way of tracking some analytics data that you had to track, but put those all together in a file. If they need to be redacted, make sure that's all done beforehand. So you've got that ready to go. But I don't think that those are critical skills. And it just depends on the level. If that's what you're going to be doing all day, is building PowerPoint presentations and doing that work, then at some point they will want to test you on that. But if you're, solid at those skills, I'm sure you pass that test without having to take an accelerated course.
I've heard some statistics from LinkedIn has been saying that if you take one of those skills tests, you have a 30% better chance of a recruiter finding you than not. Because some recruiters, I've heard that even some companies now are just saying, well, I didn't see that you've taken that quiz, or you didn't take these things. Can you go take these modules? And when you're done, let me know, and I'll go back, look at your profile to say that you've taken the test. It's like a free way for
I didn't know that.
Recruiters to, get people to take tests. So just FYI.
Wow.
Michelle says, are recruiters still searching for candidates based on professional assessments like Myers-Briggs, Strength Finders, Quest, or et cetera?
No, because it depends on what the company is using and if they're using any kind of assessment themselves. I have used assessments for companies when they've requested it. But generally speaking, those are not, they can be very helpful, but I encourage the company the company is the one that's got to initiate that. I don't, as a recruiter, use it as a tool to wean out candidates.
Okay. Michelle also said, what suggestions do you have for promoting good information security protection when using LinkedIn? The thing that comes to mind to me, well, first of all, I've never really been, I've never been harassed by anybody because I've been on LinkedIn, but I know a lot of women don't like to put their phone number on LinkedIn, and I can understand that. So what you may want to do is get a Google Voice number, because with a Google Voice number, that way that number, that's what you put out publicly, it then would bounce over to your cell phone. So that way that you'll know that you're getting something from Google Voice, and that doesn't put your personal phone out there.
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And if you're not using a second email account, you should have a separate work email account. I think don't use your personal email account for everything you do.
And that's a great suggestion. And it's so easy to create a Gmail account that's, doesn't give away, or, so many people do. I'm born in 1959. I'm old, so it's easy for me to make Kurt 1959, but that's pretty obvious. Oh, dude, you're old.
Let's see here. Google Voice. Let's see here. I know it's. Let's see what else. Let's see. Monica says, so do you want to show all the LinkedIn Learning courses you've taken on your profile? Well, if you've taken LinkedIn Learning, well, LinkedIn Learning is different. So I don't know where that shows up on a LinkedIn. I guess you'd have to mention that in your About section.
I think it is.
In your About section. Yeah, the LinkedIn skill assessment, DB says the LinkedIn skill assessment promotion is a new section. But yeah, I know we had Ruth Lipsky with us a couple weeks ago, and she stated that recruiters are starting to use it because it's a free way to do an assessment. Because if you don't pass that skill assessment, you have to have 70 or more. You don't get to retake it. It is timed. So it's a free way to get some skills in. That's all the questions that I've seen so far. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour here. So if I understand you right, the two big things that you would say is put your contact information in so that it's easily seeable via the about field and in contact information.
Correct.
And keywords.
Yep. Yep. And, you know, there's a lot of great people out there that can help you with your LinkedIn profile. I just encourage you to take it very serious. This is a product and a tool. There's Dennis O'Hagan used to lead a group in Dallas years ago, and he'd ask, you know, how many people are on LinkedIn? And 15 years ago, people didn't even know what it was. But this is kind of the gold standard. There are a lot of other products that are being developed that are, you know, trying to take the place of LinkedIn. But the fact of the matter is, and I use one of them because I'm not promoting one, but I'm testing one for somebody right now. And the fact is that it's not like LinkedIn where you've got to go in and create a profile. They're just going and getting you. They know enough about you because of what you've put on LinkedIn, what you've put into Twitter, Facebook, and other social media tools that they can scrape and gather data. And all I have to do is go in and build a boolean of what I'm looking for, and they'll automatically start sending me candidates and phone numbers, email addresses for thousands of candidates in markets. And I don't have to subscribe to anything.
Okay. One other tip, I guess I do want to share, and you know, we saw Piper's name come up just because she had HR generalist 4 different times or 5 different times on her profile. If you happen to have a strange job title, like chief people person or something, you in parentheses after the official title name, put in what the job title would be that most people would search for, because that way there's another opportunity for you to get more keywords in and hopefully you match. Job titles make a big difference in the search engine.
That's right. Good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kurt, thank you very much. Let's see here. You can just make sure no more questions pop up. Yep. Don't see anything else. So, Kurt, thank you very, very much for your time. And we'll see you next month.
Okay, buddy. Peace. Thanks for all you do, Jeff.
Very much.
Okay.
For everybody else, I just want to show just a few slides to get us out of here. We need to start out with the LinkedIn promise. If you would, if everybody will please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Whoops, let's see here. Let me get it set up right. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Whenever you see that white connect button, you do not want to click on that white connect button, because if you do, it sends the generic invitation. So you always want to look for the blue connect button. So if you find somebody's face and you see a white connect button, click on their face, go to their profile. When you go to their profile, you can always select the blue connect button, and then send that personal note. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have a special presentation, the 10 biggest mistakes that people make in interviewing. This is with Tony Bashara, who is also a recruiter. He owns Babbage and Associates, one of the oldest recruiting firms in the Southwest. He'll be with us to talk about the 10 biggest mistakes that people make in interviewing. Then on Thursday, we're going to talk all about networking. Locke Alderson will be with us to talk about, his topic is networking to network. So join us this Thursday at 1 o'clock. So tomorrow, Wednesday at 1, Thursday at 1 o'clock Central. And then this Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting at 9:30 in the morning, Sarah Jacobs, also from a third recruiting firm, the Thomas Edward Group, will be talking about random career thoughts from a recruiter. It's going to be a hodgepodge of different kinds of things that just sort of pop into her mind that she wants to talk about and make sure that you're aware of. So join us. It'll be really interesting to hear Sarah's presentation. I've heard her talk in other venues, and she does an excellent job and really shares what she's looking for when she's trying to find you. So if you'd like to join the Career FW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to do both, one or both. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. We have over 13,700 members. We just passed the 13,700 member mark this last couple of days. So please feel free to join one or both. This session has been recorded. You will be able to go back and watch it on the Career DFW Facebook page or the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Otherwise, all these videos will just be random what'll pop up there. But then pick whichever list you want. Every video that I upload, I do upload to a different playlist or into a playlist. There's 7 of them, I believe. And don't click on the video, but down below where it says view full playlist, where you see that red arrow, click on that. And then up will come a list of the titles and dates, and you can go see exactly what everybody has been talking about and watch them at your leisure. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, every time we post a video, you'll find out about it to go back and watch. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, you're brand new to us and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, just send an email to CareerUSA, the +subscribe at groups.io. You will never be spammed, but what you will get is every day the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can grab your lunch or breakfast and sit there and just click on the link and you can lunch and learn with us. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this over the last 13 years. I just do this to help you land your next great opportunity. So please consider making a donation when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you later in the week. Everybody have a great afternoon.